break, but after that we're going to be back with news from the Parliament. From the Parliament now, first news from the Lok Sabha. After yesterday's furor, all was well between government and the opposition in the Lok Sabha. 5 Indian soldiers. A fresh army for the incident changed the surcharged climate dramatically, bringing the two sides together. In the statement, government made amends by blaming Pakistan Army for the killings and said the incident will have consequences on India's behavior on the line of control and ties with Pakistan. The development was significant as Tuesday's statement by the Defence Minister on the issue had caused a huge furor, and BJP had gone hammer and tongs against the government and had sought an apology from Mr. Antony. In his new statement, Mr. Antony said that everyone knew that nothing happens from Pakistan's side of LOC without the support, assistance, facilitation and often direct involvement of the Pakistan Army. Leader of the opposition Sushma Swaraj said her party is happy that the Defence Minister has accepted his mistake and rectified that they have been successful in saying in one voice that Pakistan cannot resort to such acts. BJP had been targeting Mr. Antony, alleging that he had given clean chit to Pakistan Army and should apologize. Now, taking a hard position, Mr. Antony told the House that the brutal and unprovoked attack on the Indian side of the LOC in Poonch sector of Jammu and Kashmir on our behavior on the LOC and for our relations with Pakistan, sending out a message for the Mumbai terrorist attack in November 2008 to justice quickly. Now, referring to his statement on Tuesday, which created a huge political storm, he said that when he had reported the incident to the House, it was government's obligation to report the facts as it knew them at that point of time, and that his statement was based on the available information. While Mrs. Swaraj signaled that the issue was over for the BJP, the NDA ally Shiv Sena expressed dissatisfaction with Mr. Antony's statement. Sena leader Anand Geete said India cannot hold talks with Pakistan in such a situation. Singh said 4 of the soldiers killed were from Bihar and wanted to have his say. At one point, he even trooped into the well to draw the attention of the Speaker. Yashwant Sinha of the BJP sought to know as to why the Defence Minister had left the House. The Speaker said that no questions are allowed after the Minister's statement. Even Dara Singh Chauhan of the BSP, Shailendra Kumar of the SP on the issue, but the Speaker adjourned the House as several members were on the feet, expressed member Prabhunath Singh of the RJD remained unrelenting. He demanded that the House pass a resolution condemning the killing of Indian Jawans. Some other members too wanted to discuss the attack. Now, as the uproar continued, the House was adjourned for the day by Deputy Speaker Kariya Munda. Earlier, Zero Hour witnessed an Akali Dal member, Harsimrat Kaur, expressing concern over the growing incidents of harassment and humiliation of Sikhs, as also hate crimes against them in several countries due to mistaken identity. She said that after the 9/11 terror strikes in the US, Sikhs are subjected to growing hate crimes as they are being targeted because of their attire. Supporters Shogata Roy and Dinesh Trivedi, the Wisconsin Gurdwara, was a case of hate crime. She also said that Sikhs were being humiliated in France and Italy and pointed out that famous Indian sportsman, that is Jeev Milkha Singh's coach, was also asked to take off his turban during a frisking incident at the Milan airport. Now, Mrs. Kaur said that Indian consulates should be by the Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh to attend the Commonwealth Summit in Sri Lanka. While the DMK, Congress and TDP members continued to raise the slogans. Well, now we are going to go to the Rajya Sabha and bring about transparency. The Companies Bill, which will replace the nearly 50-year-old Companies Act, was passed out by the voice vote. The Lok Sabha had given its assent in December last year. Now, wrapping up the debate, Corporate Affairs Minister Sachin Pilot termed the passage of the legislation a historic feat. He said the focus of the bill is to enhance transparency and ensure that fewer regulations, self-reporting and disclosure. Now, it will outline the positivity in the economy, he said, instead of imposing the same. The legislation has provisions for fraud, Sachin Pilot added. Participating in the debate on the company bill, Manishankar Iyer of the Congress had asked the government to guard against VP Singh Badnor of the BJP stressed the need for proper checks to ensure that unscrupulous people do not take advantage of the bill. D. Raja of the CPI stressed the need to regulate and discipline the corporate sector. P. Rajiv of the CPM hailed the new bill as a progressive sign of the society. He said the function of the economy should not be confined to few rich, 10% of whom at present own 53% of the country's assets. Vivek Gupta of the AITC said that the new bill does not entrepreneurs. He sought more clarity from government for provisions to protect the sick units. Ashok S. Ganguly suggested modernizing auditing profession and ensure entry for independent director post not N.K. Singh of the JDU said that it is a historic bill, but there is a regulatory overlaps and conflict of interest. Earlier, to not allow further business. They said it was not good that the House runs out without the presence of the main opposition party. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kamal Nath requested Mr. Kurian to consider the matter so that the opposition relents and comes back. He said that this was a new practice and members were not aware of it. Mr. Kurian responded by saying that the matter will be reconsidered. He also asked the opposition to come back to the House, observing that it is as important as the government in the parliamentary democracy. Following this, BJP members escorted, in fact, forced 3 adjournments in the pre-noon sitting over this issue. When the House met for the day, M. Venkaiah Naidu of the BJP raised the issue, saying such naming of members had never happened, even when members from the ruling party stole the Women's Reservation Bill. He said the Congress members, who too had disrupted the proceedings over alleging discrimination and insult, he said it was infringement of the opposition's member right and not a leader of the opposition Arun Jaitly menacingly marched towards a member of the supporting party and another member who was in the well over the Telangana issue. Chairman Hamid Ansari said the issue can be discussed in his chamber. But this did not satisfy Mr. Jaitly, who along with other members of his party staged a walkout. V. Maitreyan of the AIADMK asked why Govardhan Reddy of the Congress was not named in the bulletin, since he asked Chaudhary and CM Ramesh, who were in the well, to go back to their places, saying anything they say there would be irrelevant. But the 2 members continued to protest, even as the Congress members shouted them down. Amidst the din, Mr. Ansari adjourned the House till noon. When the House reassembled, the government managed to introduce towards the empty opposition benches, seeking to draw chairs' attention to BJP staying away from the proceedings. As Mr. Kurian carried on with the business as usual, measure rushed into the well in protest but withdrew shortly. Soon members continued. Kurian adjourned the House till 2 p.m. Government today introduced a bill to amend the century-old Registration Act to help check the loss of revenue to the state by making registration compulsory for all lease deeds of immovable properties irrespective of their term.